grab your controllers and put on your headsets and turn on your consoles because this is the Ready Player Pete Show! Hello everyone, and welcome to the Ready Player Pete Show! And so gladly your players are ready to play because today is continue the character review of the Walking Dead season games. So now let's see the previous videos. Now let's get started on this one. Now, the first one on the like list is Javier Garcia. Javier is a baseball player that he misses playing baseball all his life, and he always wants to win a game for money. But ever since that he got a call from David and then something just happened and he went into some traffic, and then when he's into traffic he just had to leave his car because the traffic is backed up for miles, and now he's running on foot all the way back home. And when he's back home, that he sees David right outside, sitting outside the house, and then suddenly he worries about his own dad is about to be passing away because he's probably getting sick. But he said to David that he tried, but he apologizes, but he tried, but I know he did. I know he did his best, but somehow he always makes promises, and he makes promises to his own dad that he wants to keep him and David to be brothers, no arguments, no fightings when they try to become brothers together. But Javier did his best, and ever since I like the scene when he met Clementine, when they first met each other, only when they first met, because that's always my favorite scene. My favorite scene when Javier meets first Clem, and I like when he fights Badger. But we'll get to Badger probably later on. But yeah, he's a really nice main character. And the second on the like list is Clementine. We all know we see Clementine in the past, like in the first season she's 8, and then the second season that she's 11, and now look at her that she's still a kid. I really like Clementine. She's still a continued adventurous, and she's still a bit on edge when she's looking for AJ. That she's still looking for questions and answers to where the AJ is, because she's a bit of a struggle with David, with what between him and her in the past, when they kept AJ. But she was doing the right thing for AJ. But what David and New Frontier think that Clem made a big mistake. But somehow she's pretty much not much of a trustworthy to give to David, even that he's doing the right thing or not. But she knows she wants to tell truths, but she told the truth to Javier to make him understand. But I still like her. She's a very nice character. I really liked her. And the number 3 on the like list is we all know this guy. We all know this guy from the show, and now he's in the game. His name is Paul Monroe, but his friends calls him Jesus. But we all know him from the show, in the Walking Dead, in the show. But it's really surprising. He's really a adventurous guy, and he's a very nice and kind. And he's a very good scavenger. He's a very good fighter, and he is one of a best one of a kind guy. You can count on him whatever you're in a tight spot, because but I like the introduction when he introduced himself, because when he apologizes himself to the when he wants to introduce himself, uh, when he says, my name is they call him Paul, but friends call him Jesus. I like I like that part when he introduces himself. And number four is on the like list is Mariana Garcia. Mariana Garcia, she's the niece of Javier Garcia and daughter of David Garcia, and also she's she's a very nice, sweet girl. That she's always sweet, nice, and kind to Javier in the junkyard in the beginning of the episode, because I like what I like about her. I like the way she smiled at Javier, because she's always be a happy girl when she looks at Javi like that. And because I always like to make promises to get what she wanted, because she wants a chocolate bar, and she wants to find herself a pen, and that she wants to write about the story that her her mom just wrote her story before bed when she's thinking about it at the past. But it's very smart that she wants to find a pen, and that she remembered the story, the bedtime story she remembered. But if she forgot, if they're all gone, she'll be gone too. But that would be a smart idea. If she wants to write a pen, if he will write a story, if she remembers back at her past. But that's a good idea. And number five on the like list is Kate Garcia. She's a wife of David Garcia, and a mother, stepmother of Gabriel Garcia, and also Mariana Garcia. She's a okay woman, and she's a kind of a bit of a struggle with David, because somehow she still likes David, but a little bit she likes David likely in the middle, but somehow it's a bit too much complication, that when her and David got a bit of arguments in the middle of the episodes of the game, but somehow I feel the struggle of Kate, because I understand her when she's been through much, but she's probably wants more supportive and stuff like that. But I prefer that if Kate wanted to have a relationship with Javier Garcia, because what David was thinking and what his plan is going through is probably not thought through, because Kate doesn't like David's idea of what thought through, and she wants to go save the people in Richmond, but David refuses. That the Richmond is compromised. The whole place is crawling with walkers. But David's plan, he just wants to head back home to his real home, so we're all family together. But she forget it. She's gonna go save the people of Richmond, but that's the spirit. And number six on the like list is Trip. He's a really a good guy. He's really tough, and he's really good mechanically. He's fixed up his own vehicle back at Prescott. And he's a nice guy. He's really nice for a best friend. He's really a nice best friend, and also he has a relationship with Eleanor, but he just needs guidance to get a hit on, and try to follow his own heart to get his love to Eleanor. But it's good that Javier is gonna back him up to give him advices how to follow his own heart to Eleanor. But that's the part I like. You just have to give him advice to when the time has come. Then whatever Eleanor is ready. If you would just say the word, Trip. Just say the word, whatever she's ready. But you got it, Trip. You really got it. You can do it. And and number 7 on the like list is this doctor named Eleanor. She seems really a nice of a kind woman. A very good doctor too, because she has a relationship with Trip, but somehow she got a bit quite struggles when she don't want to leave uh she don't want to leave Richmond because she wants to help the people when she can stitch them up and hope for the best. But um she made a huge mistake. A mistake that she made, that she told the villain she told the villain known as herself known as Joan, because Joan is the villain, but we'll get to her later on that list. But it was Eleanor's big mistake that it will, like, if I told it will tell the whole group of of people in Richmond to go against Joan, to not to be leader and stuff like that. And but something like it, that's really a big mistake. But I, for one, I forgive her for her mistake when the last I see her. But when this plan is ruined up because of her. But I absolutely forgive her. And number 8 is Francine. She's a very nice kind woman, and she has love interest for Conrad. And what I like about her, I like when she's happy, when she's playing around with Conrad in the bar, when they're playing a game called poker. Well, because I always like to see her around, but see her around when she's playing poker. And then but when I choose the, like, whatever she'll play or she'll fold with these cards when she's holding in her hand. But somehow when I look at the cutscene, and somehow she likes the advice that she won that she won poker. but if she won the money, if she won poker. But suddenly, when the New Frontier comes in front of Prescott, the last scene we see Francine, that she's a prisoner, that when they brought her out. And then if they don't bring Javier Garcia to bring down, if they don't, then they chop her finger off. And suddenly this happened when they chop her finger off. And then suddenly and when suddenly after that, when Javier was down there and give himself up to the Frontier. And then, but that wasn't a deal. But Badger went too far, and then Clementine shoots one of the Frontier, and then suddenly when Javi runs, and then the Frontier shot Francine. But that's probably the last of her. But I'm sorry, comrade, but she is the woman you love. But it's not Javier's fault. It's just It's just Badger is really out of control. That he gives the order because it's not even right. And number 9 is on the like list is Dr. Paul Lingard. He's a doctor that he's part of the New Frontier. And he is probably he did whatever he can to do best for AJ in the past with Clementine, when Clementine joins the Frontier, and he's probably feeling kind of weak when he's sitting there, when he's in the hospital or something like that in the place, because Clem wants to make a deal with him, and if you give him give him information. But if Clem wants the information, then Dr. Lingard just put this syringe, and this and wants he wants the Javier or Clem to inject this substance inside of him, and because he wants to die. But if you inject in this substance inside to kill him, then he'll tell Clementine where AJ is. Or if you refuse, then he'll be alive. Then at the end of the last episode, and he will tell what AJ is to when he explained to Clem. But I, for one, I choose to refuse to not to kill him because he is more valuable to tell where AJ is because it's probably much more better for the best. But it is. But he is a good doctor and he likes to be, and he knows how to be around with vouch for Eleanor for her help. And now for the hate list is only for number 1 is David Garcia. He is a soldier back in the army in his day, but he's some kind of a bit of a he's a bit of a jerk. He's a pushover, and he's just and somehow his plans are gone a bit too much hopeful and too much not to thought through, and he's punched Javier like a punching bag, because he thinks it's all his fault or he's not following his rules, and he don't want him to involve in this argument with Kate. Everything he does is really not thought through, and all his anger. He's a hot-headed idiot because he's just not even thought straight. But like when Javier and David's dead, like he was the part where it's a hot-headed idiot with his heart in the right place. Well, that part right there, what their dad say is he said hot-headed idiot and his heart in the right place. That's David, because he is very a hothead. But because he needs to calm down and thought through. But that's how he lost Kate, when he lost Kate to not to be with him anymore, because that's why Kate wants to be with Javier. You need to calm down, David, because you're being such a total, you're being like a total lot less than a brother to Javi. And now next on the list is the return season characters before death. So, you see, the return season characters before death is the characters from the season 2, and it's from the season 2, because these characters, the first one, number 1, is Jane. Because this one, Jane, she's during the second season, throughout her journeys, she seems to sign of she's a kind, nice woman, but she's adventurous, she's tough, but she's some kind of she's a bit of a frustrated with Kenny when they're having when they're having an argument, but she wants to get into Kenny's head, but somehow, in the end, when after Kenny and Jane fight, when Kenny is about to stab her in the chest, is to end her, because that will be the last straw of Kenny with what she did to this unknown what she did to AJ, but if you choose to spare Jane's life and shoot Kenny, then Jane will be alive, and then she'll be in the frontier in that season, and then Clem will be around with Jane in the new frontier in a season game, and then because in the last attempt scene in the second season is that when they're back to the Carver's camp, and then at the frontier, Jane is not feeling well, and then she went back inside the Carver camp, and then she got her neck wrapped around with a rope, and then because she's turned into a walker when Clem went up to Carver's office while holding AJ, and Clementine found something on the floor. It's a pregnancy test, and Jane said that Jane looks like that Jane is pregnant. And Jane didn't realize she is, but now she turned into a walker, and then that's why Clem gonna have to shoot her when her rope is wrapped around her neck. But I'm sorry about it, Jane. I know you're scared about it. You're gonna be having a baby, but somehow you gotta get used to it. But somehow it's very scary at times, but you gotta get used to. And number two is Kenny. Kenny, he's the last we see him, and when we saw him, like I said during the final fight, that you have two choices, like shoot Kenny or look away. But if you choose to look away, and then Kenny finally just did his kill to kill Jane, and then now he still be alive, and then he'll go with him to find Wellington and stuff like it. If you choose to go to Wellington, or you're just gonna go with him, but if you choose to go with him, if you don't want to go to Wellington, Clementine's still gonna be with Kenny in the season of the New Frontier, and it is a good thing for him that he taught Clem how to drive a car, and then it's just for a driving lesson. And for the foot, and after that he's gonna ditch the wheels, and then he's gonna make a sailor out of Clem, like how to drive a boat. But I like it when Clem is teaching Clem to drive. It's really a really nice part of the cutscene of Kenny. But somehow in that cutscene, when Clementine hit the bump, and it lost control of the steering, and then when she crashes, and then Kenny just flew out his seat and right through the windshield, and then AJ was all right, and then when Clem got out and she sees Kenny on the ground, and then she apologizes, and there's walkers coming, and then Clementine was about to lift Kenny up, but Kenny can't feel his legs, but he can't get up, because but the sad moment of Clementine, she don't want to give up on Kenny. When I choose, I don't want to give up on you, because and for the death of Kenny, that Kenny wants Clementine to go and save AJ from the walker inside that car, and then she grabs AJ, and then she starts running away and don't look back, and that'll be the death of Kenny. But we're gonna miss you, Kenny, because you're a great character from the beginning, from the second, and all the way to the end of the middle of the New Frontier of the game. You're a great guy, and you're a great friend, Kenny. And now number three is Edith. The last when we made it to Wellington in the season 2, that she is not accepting new people to come into Wellington, because there's packed of them, and she's probably will take the children, but just AJ and Clem. But now in the New Frontier, she's probably they're getting attacked or something like it. But I haven't seen the cutscene when I choose to stay in Wellington. But because I'm gonna say this, that it's probably unknown to me, that I didn't know what happened next. What if I didn't do that that cutscene what choice I make in the second season at the ending, at the final episode of episode 5. But it's probably I don't know. But probably I don't know to see. And now Now next on the list is the frustrated. The frustrated characters. There's only one character named Gabriel Garcia. He's a son of David Garcia, and also a nephew of Javier Garcia. He is a bit frustrated, and he gets very aggravated, and he gets angry at times. But he wants to go out there and go out there and ask him. He wants to find his dad, David Garcia, but he's still out there because he's been out there because ever since before the apocalypse, he's been gone for days, and or how long he's been out there. But he's been through much. That he wants to know where his dad is, but somehow he's a bit stubborn. But it's somehow he's been talked through much, but he wants to. but he wants to be around with his dad much, but because he don't want to lose him again, and he don't want to leave him again, because he don't want anything happen to him. Because he is part family, but I understand him, but he's probably needs to get over it to see what the world is, and also and he needs to understand what David is thinking through. But the full journey, he wants to grow up to be like less than like David, but he wants to grow up to be like Javier, because Javier really appreciates that, and but somehow he that went and somehow that Gabriel sees the truth about David, but somehow finally he does. But Kate is trying to persuade him, but somehow he probably thinks he's being so hard, but now he understands now throughout the story. And next is on the list is on the henchman and also an ally. Is now an ally. Is only one named Ava. Ava, she's an henchman and also a soldier of the New Frontier. And she's loyalty to David of his commands, because and somehow in the middle, a little bit of in the middle of loyalty of Joan, of the leader of the New Frontier, but somehow she's probably getting a bit of curious questions and answered that she needs to be more convinced of Joan is not doing right, of what she's doing when she's the leader of the New Frontier. And during the armory, when she caught Gabriel and Javier in the armory getting weapons and stashed them in the bags, and then she took out her sidearm, and then she wants to know whether they're doing in here. But Javier is convincing Ava to being a less henchman, and what he explains what Joan is doing is really bad. And then after he convinced Ava, after he convinced Ava to be now not to become a henchman, that she became an ally to help Gabriel and Javier to be against Joan, because what she done is not even quite right. When she runs the entire community of Richmond. And next on the list is Angry, Crazy, and Calm Down. And the Calm Down characters is number one is just Conrad, because Conrad he's a man that he's a best friend to Trip, and he has love interest to Francine, and he is he's one of a kind guy, likes to help out much, but he's gone crazy and crazy. Well, the crazy part is that when he overhears the story when Clem is explained to Javier that Clem is part of the New Frontier, and he point out his sidearm and point at Clem, and then he wants Clem to roll up her sleeve, and he sees the brand on her own arm. Is the New Frontier, and he thinks he said he really knew it, but he wants to go if he wants to go to Richmond, and she'll be a bargaining chip to get in, but Clem cannot do that because somehow choices are gonna be hard, but somehow when he's angry, ever since when they left Prescott, when Prescott was overrun by the New Frontier, and when it got attacked, and including the walkers, and he thinks it's Javier's fault that Francine got killed, but that's not even fair, because that's not his fault, because it's the New Frontier. But he needs to calm down. But it's somehow he's really crazy that when he takes Gabriel and he put a sidearm on his head, and he wants Javier to force Javier to make a choice. So I'm gonna be sorry for Clem about it, but I'll say I'll take the deal for Conrad if we use Clem as a bargaining chip to get inside of Richmond. But that is a huge betrayal scene, but Clementine is not appreciated, and so does Gabriel. But if we want Clementine to live, then we have to do it that way because it's somehow decisions are very hard. And next on the list is the Frontier henchman. This one, his name is Lonnie. Lonnie, he's a henchman that we saw him at the junkyard. That he's not probably convinced, but somehow when I say when Javier fights him and then he knocks him out and then he's not dead, but somehow we last saw him when we see him in the council with Joan, and then he thinks when we see what he's done, and then and then also that when I explaining everything to the what Joan is doing and something like that, because because ever since whenever all this happened, that David is no longer in control, to take command of the New Frontier, that he's done, that whatever charges they do, well, gotta face facts, because somehow they're one of them are not convinced whoever's telling the truth. And number 2 is Max. He is a top henchman, but he tries to get control of Badger. That what is really wrong with you? We don't have a go ahead, and he's trying to get control of Badger, but ever since Francine got killed and chopped her finger off, and then because ever since when I told what Max did, including Max did during the last scene with Badger, because he thinks that Javier is a thief, he knows he's family, but he's a born thief. He stole gasoline and all the things he done. He almost killed Lonnie, but somehow, and all the stuff they steal from Prescott after the fight with Badger, I choose to spare his life. That he like to tell the truth. That how did this rich man deal with all this stuff, and how did they steal and loot? So somehow he could prove useful, but we got it. The truth never hurts if we let him alive. And number 3 is Rufus. The last we see him is that we saw him on the truck after he knocked out Lonnie, and then Max knocked out Javier at the trailer park at the trailer at the junkyard, and then he's in the truck driving, and then he's threatening him, and he will knock him out himself and stuff like that. But when he said something about what he did to Lonnie back there, and I choose to spare his life when Clementine was tipped over a tree and tried to stop the truck and stop him from driving and make him crash. And when Javier put up the sidearm, and if you decide to shoot Rufus or spare his life and let him run, and then the last we see him, that he's been bitten during the attack when Richmond is getting attacked, then probably he'll be alive, because there's someone who he loves that is probably there, that if we keep him alive. And now for the not appreciate henchman is only number 1 is Clint. He's a very loyal henchman, but he's not very appreciated. If he's very when what Joan is doing, they steal, raid, and loot. That Joan is not even a good leader of being a kind leader to order his own group to scavenge or anything he needs for Richmond. But he's his because he thinks she's probably doing anything is wrong, but he still understands and convinced, but he's not fully convinced. He still side with Joan, but he wants to convince Joan to think this through, that we don't kill everyone in Richmond, we exile. But if you take you and your group out of here and do not come back here again, it's up to you. But if you take but he's trying to be convinced, but Joan doesn't probably don't want to allow that idea. But it's up to her if she does. But so and yeah, because and she and also the other choice that you like, I choose to shoot Joan, because and when I choose to shoot Joan, that you say go to, and then Javier said go to hell, Joan, and then Javier just shot her right in the eye, and then if you choose the deal, then probably you'll choose the deal. Then perhaps I didn't. Perhaps you, if you choose the deal, then you will go. But something else came up, but I haven't choose that choice. But I choose to shoot Joan. But somehow I'm glad that I took her out, because she's the main villain after all. But she's the villain. She's the main villain after all. But she is now. And now finally she's dead. And last but not least, the number 2 of the villains is the name Badger. Badger, he's a very bad guy. He's a very bad guy, and he's a very bad guy that he's wants to do his own way. That he when he during the Prescott scene, that when he chopped off Francine's finger and then shot her, and then when Max says to him that what is wrong with you? We don't have to go ahead, and Badger was like, no, screw you, screw the go ahead, but. And he wants to get, all I ever want is I want my dead guys to be alive again. But really, Badger, you want your henchmen, you want your dead henchmen to come back? But they're already dead. How do you expect them? You want them to come back if they're dead? And then suddenly the and I like the final fight in when Javier fights Badger. When he loaded up his shotgun, and then he's going into the room, and then Javier just charge at him, and then they both fight. And then suddenly after he fight Badger, then he that when Badger was grabbed after the final ending of the fight, he grabs Javier's baseball bat. And he hits the ground when Javier dodges. He grabs Badger's shotgun and he shot him right in the stomach. But after his death, before his death, he there are 2 choices. Like, if you want to kill Badger, or you want to let Conrad to shoot him. But I personally let Conrad do it, because I know I wanted Javier to do it for Mariana, because when he and his henchmen shot Mariana at the junkyard, but I will only want Conrad to get his revenge too, ever since Francine, and after that when I choose to let Conrad to shoot Badger, then. I'll see you later, Badger. Yeah, that's the death of you, but because you're really such a very huge bad guy of a henchman, because he's gone really out of control, like Max said. But Max didn't give the order to chop Francine's finger off and shoot him, but that wasn't him, because it was Badger. Max trying to stop Badger, but because Badger's out of control. He's totally out of his mind, but still, bye-bye Badger, that he's dead. And now this is all for today. Press like and subscribe, hit notifications, and your comments down below, and stay tuned for the continue of the Walking Dead season game review, of characters, and see you on the next level on the Ready Player Pete show to review to review the review the Walking Dead final season, and then coming very soon to review the DLC of to see the mysterious game of what add on the first one in the Five Nights at Freddy's, but the DLC to review Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin.